All right, in this video, we're going to be talking about power chords and bar chords. And we're basically going to use power chords as an introduction to bar chords because bar chords tend to be pretty hard for most beginning guitarists. So anyways, without further ado, let's review how to find the roots of a chord. This is the same thing as knowing the notes on each of your strings, right? So remember the musical alphabet. So the musical alphabet goes A through G with sharps and flats, right? And E goes to F and B goes to C. So if we're trying to find the root of a power chord on our low E string, we're going to start with open E. E goes to F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B goes to C goes to C sharp, D sharp, E, right? And then if you're going backwards or you're going down tonally, you start on E, E flat, D flat, C goes to B flat, A flat, G flat, F, E, right? And it works for any of the strings. You just start with the name of your string and you go up or down the musical alphabet to figure out what note you're looking for. And for these power chords and these bar chords, we're going to be looking for the root of the chord or the name of the chord. So like on the A string, for example, let's find the note E flat on the A string. So we're going to start at A, now play B flat, that's your first fret, B, C sharp, D sharp, E, but we're looking for E flat, so we just hit E, so down one fret, there's E flat, okay? All right, so a little review on finding the notes on your guitar. That's how you're gonna find the roots of these chords so you know where to place the movable shapes on your guitar. So, that's rhythm and chord progressions. Here's the chord shapes. So what I did here is I included the power chord shapes and the bar chord shapes. So if the lowest note is on the 6th string or your lowest string, that means it's going to be a root 6 chord. If the lowest note is on the 5th string, like this one, then it's going to be a root 5 chord, okay? And so these two are major power chords. Sorry, bar chords aren't major or minor. Power chords, oh goodness sakes, power chords are not major or minor. Bar chords can be major or minor. So these ones up here are major, and then these ones down here are minor. So let's take a look at these power chords first. You have 1 and 3, and that's these red notes here. That's all you have to play, just those two strings, just like this. So that one is on the 3rd fret, right? But you can move this anywhere. Just place one finger there, and your 3rd finger there on the next string. Oop, need to plug in. All right, so here would be a root 6 power chord. Right? Now if you look at this next one, we have root on the 5th string, and then it's still the same shape. So that looks like this. This would be a C power chord. They're switching between the two. Okay, so that's your basic power chord shape. Actually, not the only power chord shape. You could also consider this a power chord, but for now, let's just look at this. Okay, so these are what you're gonna start with all these exercises while you're working on learning the bar chords, because the bar chords are gonna take some time. So let's go ahead and go through the bar chord shapes, and this is something you should practice every day, but when you're trying to play a song or run through an exercise, and you don't want to spend all your time just trying to get the chords right, because that can get a little frustrating, you can just use the power chords for now to practice moving between roots and things like that. I'll show you on this exercise here in just a second. So let's look at a root 6 major bar chord. So we're going to do that power chord shape, the same thing. Now we're going to take our pinky, put it on this 3rd fret here, and then our 2nd finger, sorry, it wouldn't be the 3rd fret, but in this block of 4, right? Because we're always envisioning a block of 4, right? So you got power chord and then pinky, and then your 2nd finger there It's going to go right there on that note. You can look at the chord diagram. I'll show you here in a sec. And then it's called a bar chord because your first finger bars this whole fret right here. It covers all of those notes. And when you play it together, that's what you get. That's a major root 6 bar chord. Now, the cool thing about this is to make it minor, all you have to do is lift your second finger. Now it's a minor bar chord, a G minor bar chord, but you can move it anywhere and change the key depending on the root, right? So this would be G minor, G major. Here you can play B flat major, C major, right? You can move that anywhere. And wherever the root is, the lowest note on the 6th string, that tells you what the name of the chord is, whether it's A, B, C, D, E, F, G, or any of the sharps and flats in between, and then major or minor tells you which shape you're going to use. Now let's look at root 5. Let's go back to this root 5 bar chord here. So you have 1 and 3. Now this is the tricky one. For the major bar chord on root 5, you're actually going to bend your third finger backwards and cover 3 notes with it at the same time. So this one's very difficult starting out because you have to bar with this finger and you have to bar 3 frets or 3 strings with this finger as well. I would say take your time on it, just sound it out and practice it every day. It's one of those things that takes a lot of work, but once you get it, and then you can utilize that tool to play chords anywhere on your guitar. So it's worth learning. It's a good trade-off. It does take some time, right? So there's C major. Now to make it minor, we're gonna make the same shape as the major bar chord on root 6, but it's on root 5, that's gonna make it minor. It's kind of a roundabout or maybe a confusing way of explaining it. Let me just show you the shape. So you've got 1, 3, 4, right? And then you're gonna add your second finger right there. Right, so there's a C minor bar chord. Now you could move this anywhere. Here's C, here's D, here's F, here's G, here's G flat, here's E flat, D, C, right? You can move those shapes anywhere, same with a major. Right? And that's why these chords are so useful, because you don't necessarily always want to use open chords for everything that you're playing, and it makes the motion between chords, once you get them down, a lot quicker. You can do things like this. Right? All right, so there are the basic shapes for your major and minor bar chords, root 5 and root 6. Now, like I said, these take some time getting used to, so make sure you take the time to go ahead and sound them out. Make sure you're getting all the notes to ring, and then play them together. This is gonna take some time, but you will get the hang of it. So we sounded out and we played those bar chords. We're starting to get them clean. Let's take a look at this exercise. I'll show you how to do it with power chords and with bar chords. And actually, this is just gonna be power chord progressions. So right now, just focus with your bar chords, just focus on sounding them out and playing them clean. If that's all you do for the next couple weeks is work on that, then you'll be ready for the next step in the next unit, where we will use bar chords to actually read chord charts with major chords and minor chords. We'll add a couple different chords like 7 chords and major 7 and minor 7, things like that, that are all based off those same shapes. So work on sounding those out and playing those, and if you can get them clean, you'll be really set up for what comes next, and it kind of unlocks a lot of the potential in the neck of your guitar when you learn these. So let's take a look at this rhythm and chord progressions. So right here, we've got the rhythms, right? And we're just gonna play one line at a time. So if you remember from all of our rhythm reading modules, you know this is gonna go 1 and 2 and 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1, 2, 3, 4. I did that a little fast. Make sure you slow it down when you're first starting out, always. Let me just play through this first exercise for you. Go ahead and follow along. So we're starting at that C chord, and we're just gonna play a power chord, just that 1 and 3 here. So, 2, ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, that's how that works. Let's do this next one. Starts on A here. So let's go. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 and 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. All right, so you can use those movable power chord shapes to play any chord on your guitar. So like when I have this A chord here, what I'm doing very quickly in my mind, because I've practiced this a lot, is I'm finding the root of the chord A right here, okay, and I'm just playing a power chord off that root, right? Where's D? Well, let's find the closest D. You could play it up here, but it's a little easier to jump across to the A string and play it here. So make sure when you're playing this exercise, you find the chords root 6 and root 5 as well. And speed comes from accuracy, first of all, and also the smallest motions possible, right? So it's a very short distance from here, A, to D here, but it's a long distance from A here to D here, right? So in theory, you can also usually play it faster if you go and skip the strings across there. So think about where you can do that when you're playing through these exercises. And maybe label right above like root 5, root 6, where you're gonna play them. Just take this one line at a time, just like everything else. And if you have any questions, give me a shout. See you guys in the next video.